morning everyone. As you have seen in the last lecture regarding to the topic of the MySQL that we have started from the database point of view. So we will be continuing with that one only, and today we will see in details like regarding to the MySQL, history of the MySQL and the basic commands which are available from the MySQL point of view with its usage. Clear everyone? So we will be continuing the same topic, that is MySQL. So I hope so that from the syllabus point of view the topics are clear. I will show you the syllabus as well as again once more, and then you will be able to see the descriptions from the point of view. So as you can see in this syllabus, like database and the MySQL point of view, there is a chapter number 2, unit number 2, in which introduction to database, relational and non-relational database system, MySQL as well as non-procedural language with the view of the data. So that we have seen a little bit a glimpse of that in the last lecture. Then we will continue in detail as well as like MySQL basic statements, like what is meant by the schema statement, data statements, transaction statements, name based on table and column names, data types available like char, varchar, text, medium text, long text, small, integer, boolean, decimal, float, double data, like date and time, timestamp, year, time, creating database, inserting data, updating data, deleting data, expressions, built-in functions available such as lower, upper, reverse, length, height, trim, print, left, right, mid, concat, now, and time, date, current date, day, month, year, day name, month name, ABS, for, then MOD function, round function, SQRT. Like for example, if we are having missing data, point of view what we have, null, not null, default values. Then we will be seeing create, use, alter, that is add, remove, change columns, rename, show, describe, then create table, columns, status and database only, and drop, that is table, columns, database statements, validity key, foreign key, one or more columns, simple validity checks, and using the constraints. So basically speaking, we will see like how to create the database from there onwards, having like the tables with the columns, manipulations, and then we will see that what are the data types available over here with respect to that, some constraints means some restrictions that we can apply to our database with respect to the validity and checking part. Okay, so I hope that this is clear to everyone. So these are some of the topics that we are going to cover over here today. So as I told you, what we were seeing in the last lecture, like what is MySQL. So you should have a clear picture like what is the MySQL. Basically speaking, MySQL is a software, and MySQL is a database software generally speaking, and this database software is being used by most of the organizations as a backend, and they require the software to store their data into it. So MySQL is currently the most popular database management system software used for managing the relational database. So basically speaking, MySQL obeys and follows the rules which are described as relational database. It is open source database software which is supported by Oracle company. It is fast, scalable, and easy to use database management system in comparison with Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle database. There are some of the popular databases available in the market like named as Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle. So these are the competitors which are being used as compared to the MySQL. So it is commonly used in conjunction with PHP scripts for creating powerful and dynamic server sites for web-based enterprise applications. So if we talk about an organization, if we talk about the company, and for that, if we are having a specific application that is web-based or enterprise or server-side application that are all created based on this technology using the help of the PHP as the front end, and at the back end we can use the help of the MySQL. So this is something what we are talking about over here from the MySQL point of view. So basically speaking, MySQL is a relational database management system, commonly called as short named as RDBMS software, that provides many things which are as follows. So as I told you, MySQL is based on what the concepts which follows provided by the relational database management system. So in relational database management system, what are given? The set of rules, and the set of rules are given as below. So it allows us to implement database operations on tables, rows, columns, and indexes. That means if we talk about RDBMS, we talk about tables, rows, columns, and indexes. These are all the objects available in relational database system. Coming to the second one that we define, it defines the database relationships in the form of tables, collection of rows and columns, also known as the relation. So in database relational, like relational database management system, we can also define relations between multiple tables and columns and rows. So this is possible using what? RDBMS. It provides the referential integrity between rows and columns on of various tables as well. So referential integrity is something that we use term to define the data is being linked from one column to another column. So if one value in the table changes, so automatically the second value in the second table should also be reflected. So this is something we use the term as referential integrity. That is, all the values in the table are synchronized. So if some values are updated in the single table, so multiple tables will be updated based on that single value. So this is something we use the term as referential integrity. That is, the data consistencies and data consistency should be maintained. As well as the next one, it allows us to update the table indexes. So indexes can be updated. Suppose some of the values are removed or deleted, so index gets automatically updated in the sequential ways. So that is also been managed by the relational database management system. And the last but not the least, it uses many SQL queries to combine useful information from multiple tables from end users. So basically speaking, if multiple values need to be fetched from multiple tables, but at using one single command, that can also be done using the help of SQL queries, structured query language queries. Queries is just like a command that we are giving to the database. So for giving the command to the database, we need to have some specific instruction sets, and that instruction set over here we use the term as SQL, structured query language. Okay, so this was a short overview of what is RDBM is about. And from the RDBM point of view, what are the things that we will see into MySQL over here? Okay, so basically speaking, how the MySQL server works. As you can see, MySQL follows the working of client-server architecture. This model is designed for the end users, like called clients, to access the resources from a central computer known as a server using the network services. So in simple words, what they're trying to tell you over here, that means Microsoft, instead of using that word, I will try to use this one. MySQL follows the working of client-server architecture. That means here the rules, the basic rules which the MySQL is using and following is based on client-server. That means the application will execute on the server and the client will retrieve the data from the server. So this is what we use the term as client-server architecture. This model is designed for the end users called clients to access the resources from a central computer known as a server using the network services. So basically speaking, as I told you, that is all the information are being kept on the server so that each and every client will retrieve or will obtain this information from the server. So this is something we use the term as central computer. So where all the informations are being kept. So here the client makes the request. So the graphical user interface, commonly called the GUI, as we will see also, and the server will give the desired output as soon as the instructions are matched. So basically speaking, servers will check the request of the client. Based on the request, it will try to identify the solution for that. And after finding out matching based on the instructions, what it will do, it will provide the information to the client. So this is something we use the term as like working of the MySQL. So the process of MySQL environment is the same as the client server model. So basically speaking, if we talk about the network architecture, that is client server, that same architecture we are following here for the MySQL, because MySQL works on the same pedology over here. Okay. So now you can see the so in this diagram, what you are able to see, this is the client, and what does the client does over here? The client on the left hand side is trying to request to the database server, and on the database server, what is happening? The request has been searched. Based on that, the response is given to the client after the response is being recorded. So the core of the MySQL database is the MySQL server. This server is available as a separate program and responsible for handling all the database instruction statements and commands. In simple words, the server is the one which is going to reply to the user. So each and every information is available on the server. So how to retrieve it and how to manage it is all being handled using the database instructions, or we can say statements or commands which are being used on the database server. So the working of the MySQL database server with respect to MySQL server is given below. So you can see it now. So as it is given, MySQL creates a database that allows you to build many tables to store and manipulate data as defining the relationship between each table. So basically speaking, if we talk about the MySQL working, so we have a simple idea that MySQL will help us to do what? Create the database that we will see, and as well as it will allow us to create tables in that database. So this is the structure that we are following over here. That means the first we will create the database, and then we will create the tables. And after creating the tables, so in that table we will be storing the data. So this is the pattern that we are going to follow over here from the MySQL perspective point of view. So manipulating the data and defining the relationship between each of the tables, this can be done later on. So that means the first is that we need to create the database, then we need to create the tables, and then we can store and manipulate the data based on what the relationship that we will define between the multiple tables. So this is the first part. Then comes the second point. The client makes requests through the GUI screen or the command prompt by using specific expressions on MySQL. So here, MySQL is basically sitting available in two versions, as you can say, the GUI based and the command based. So we will see it also over here. What is GUI and what is command based over here in details with a practical perspective or point of view. So you will get the idea like what and MySQL will be from the GUI perspective and what will be the look and feel of the command prompt. Okay. So third one, finally the server application will respond with request expressions and produce the desired result on the client side. So that means after the command has been executed on the server, what will happen? It will generate the result, and that result will be given to the client so that the client will be able to view the result on its side. So this is something the structure that we are following from the MySQL point of view. Okay. The reason for popularity of the MySQL, as you can see, is MySQL is becoming so popular because of these following reasons. MySQL is an open source database, so you don't have to pay a single penny to use it. That means it is for free. So in simple words, if we talk about the MySQL, so the MySQL is an open source database, and it is for free, simply speaking. So you don't have to buy it or you don't have to go for the registration also. So basically speaking, MySQL is an open source database software. You can download it for free and install it for free, and that's why this particular software is being designed into your syllabus from the student perspective point of view. So MySQL is a very powerful program that can handle a large set of functionalities of the most expensive and powerful database packages. Like as we have said in the earlier, Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle servers are providing the same services, but they are chargeable. That is, you need to purchase the software and then and only then you will be able to perform the task. But the same task is being done here using the MySQL. So you can compare them with respect to this MySQL. So MySQL is customizable because it is open source database and the open source GPL license facilitates over here. So MySQL is customizable means what? We can modify, we can rearrange, and then we can redesign it as per our requirements. So that means MySQL can be used in any way as we like. So that means it is customizable, first of all. Secondly, open source GPL license facilitate programmers to modify the SQL software according to their own specific environment. So that means a programmer can modify, a programmer can change, a programmer can remake it, redefine it, and as what it likes, he can do it over there, and then he can use it for his own specific uses. So this is something the programmer can do with respect to that MySQL software. So basically speaking, MySQL is under the open source GPL license facilities. That means we can do, we can make, we can remodify, and then we can use it. So this is something called as open source GPL license. So here, coming to the next one, MySQL is quicker than other databases, so it can work well even with the large datasets. So one of the advantages of MySQL is what you can see over here. It is very lightweight and it's very fast, and it works very well with the large number of datasets. That is, the desired output generated by the large dataset is compared to the database is very performance-wise. We can talk about is very faster and quicker and reliable. So coming to the next one, MySQL supports many operating systems with many languages like PHP, Perl, C, C++, Java, etc., etc. So that means MySQL in conjunction with different operating systems and programming languages are being used. And some of the programming languages are given over here such as PHP, Perl, C, C++, Java, and so on. So these all programming languages can be used with MySQL. So basically speaking, MySQL uses a standard form of the well-known SQL database. So simply speaking, we are trying to tell you over here that this MySQL has a standard, and that standard follows what SQL data language. So what are the SQL data standards are there? That is the same data standard we are going to follow over here from the MySQL point of view. So basically speaking, these are some of the things that we will be seeing from the MySQL perspective over here. That is the advantage that we are seeing over here because of the popularity in the market. So basically speaking, MySQL is very friendly with PHP, the most popular language for web developers. So that means mostly whatever the developers are there based on the e-commerce or web-based application development, they all prefer to use PHP, and with that PHP they are using what in conjunction MySQL. So that means the front end basically is designed using the PHP and the back end is designed using what we use it as MySQL. So the front end is just like a user interface. The user can see and interact with that application, and the back end is something where the data is being kept, data is being stored from the user point of view. So what are the users going to input the data into the web page is now going to be stored into the database. So this is being done by the MySQL over here. So MySQL supports large databases, that is, as you can see, up to 50 million rows or more in a table. The default file size limit for a table is 4 GB, but you can increase this if your operating system can handle it. It to a theoretical limit of 8 million terabytes can be stored over here. So this is what they're trying to tell you, that is MySQL can handle large amount of data at a single instance at a time. So that also comes with your operating system. So So if your operating system is able to manage that much of data, then definitely the Microsoft SQL, sorry, MySQL is going to manage your data over here. So as a theoretical one, they are telling you that 8 million terabytes of data can be managed at a time over here. So that is what the idea behind what are the features, what are the benefits that the MySQL is able to use. So as you can see, MySQL create database from the basis point of view. Our database is used to store the collection of records in an organized form. Basically speaking, it allows to hold the data into tables, rows, columns, and indexes to find the relevant information frequently. So we can access and manage the records through the database very easily. So simply speaking of which, when we are going to use the MySQL, the first thing we will be doing is what? Creating the database. The database is the one which is used to store the collection of records in organized format. And records is what? The information that we are keeping in the database. So basically speaking, the information can be stored in the form of data, like the data can be in the form of what? Tables, rows, columns, and indexes, whatever you like over here. So we can access and manage the records through the database very easily. So that is afterwards storing it. We can also access the data as per the requirement over here. So the MySQL implements a database as a directory that stores all files in the form of tables. So it allows us to create a database mainly in two ways. So basically speaking, as I was telling you in the previous one, that is MySQL is divided into two types of versions over here. One that is called as MySQL client line client, and the second one called as MySQL workbench. So this command line is the thing that we are going to pass the commands only. And the second one is the MySQL workbench, which is the graphical GUI tool that we will be using to create the database as well as manage the database. So we will see it in detail one by one. The first one we will see the MySQL command line client. So as you can see over here, MySQL client command line client, we can create a new database in MySQL by using the create database statement with the below syntax. So create database, if this is the keyword that you need to give as mandatory. Some of the keywords which are optional will be given afterwards in that square brackets. If not exist, you want to write it down, that's okay fine, otherwise it's okay, it will run. There is create database and then the database, that's it. Otherwise, if you want to add something extra to it, like create database, if not exist, database name, then character sets name, then collate and collation name. So these are some of the options that we can define over here. But the common thing given over here is create database and then database. So this is the command that will help you to create database over there. And one more thing you need to keep it remember over there, when the command ends, you need to stop it by using the semicolon. The semicolon is the terminator over here which will stop the command over here. So I hope so this is clear to everyone. Then we'll see the details as well as like what is this create database, in character sets, and then collate also. So for right now, the simple command that we will use is create database and then followed by the database name that we will see in the example as well as practically. So as you can see from the example point of view, what are the things that are given in this command. So the command examples, like for example, they are given the database name. So it is the name of the new database that should be unique in the MySQL server instance. So if not exists, clause avoids an error when we create a database that already exists. That means what? If you are using this option, if not exists, what will happen? If the previous database is not there, it will create it over there, okay, without generating an error, without generating an error over here. So basically speaking, a new database is created and it should have a unique name. So no duplication is allowed. So that means if I am creating a database name as employee, so that employee database should not be there in previously. So if someone has created that employee database, so you will not be allowed to create the same database. So for that purposes, To check it out and to avoid these errors, we are using the keyword, and the keyword is if not exists. So as I told you, this is an optional one. You want to give it, don't want to give it, it's okay, fine. So if you want not to have an error, so we will go with this one. Otherwise, we will directly use the command. The second one, as you can see, the character set name. So here we can review the newly created database using the following query that returns the database name, character sets, and solution of the database. That means if you want to see the database has been created or not, you can see it over here by using the command, and the command is given below: show create database and then the database. So this is the command that you need to type down in the console, as you can see at the bottom also: show create database and then employee DB. So what it will give you the output database and the query database. So employee DB is the name of the database, and query database is the command that we are using over here. So here you will see default character set. So this is the character set being used by the operating system, and the collate based on that character set is being given over here. So this is something what is being used by the operating system. So we don't bother about it. We don't have to understand this one like from the remembering point of view. The thing is, this is being auto generated by the system, so it's not to worry about. Okay, so the only thing we need to worry about is this command: create database and then the database name. So this should be typed properly, then and only then you will get the desired database created over here. So this is something you need to keep it in account. And to show that the database is created or not, we will use the command as show create database over here. So this will help us to create the database. And if we want to see all the created database over here, you can also use this one command: show database only. So show database semicolon will do what? It will show all the database created into your system generated as well as user defined. All will be displayed over here using one single command, and that command is show database. Okay, show databases is the command that will be used, and this will display all the information over here from the database point of view available in the system only. Okay, so finally we can use the below command to access the database that enable us to create a table and other database objects. So as I told you in the beginning, the first thing from the storing point of view, we need to create what database. After creating the database, then we will be creating the tables, and then in the tables we will be storing the records. So this is the pattern we need to follow over here. So for that, after creating the database, we need to refer to it, that is we are using this database. So how to define that? We will use the command, and the command is simple one as shown below: use space emp or emplydb. So what are the database that we have created it? Now what I'm going to use it by using the use command. So there is a note that you should all understand. All the database names, table names, and table field names are case sensitive. As I told you before, case sensitive means employee DB is created, so another database cannot have the same name. Okay, so we must have to use proper names while giving any SQL command. So when we will be giving the SQL commands, we will take into account whether we can define it or not. This is something what we are understanding over here. So here you can see the graphical tool. This graphical tool is called as MySQL Workbench. So it is a visual database designing or GUI tool used to work with database architects, developers, and database administrators. This visual tool supports SQL development, data modeling, data migration, and so comparative administration tools for server configuration, user administration, backup, and many more. So basically speaking, this graphical tool is bundled with more and more options. So this graphical tool is not just a simple creation tool, it will give you more management point of view of tools over here. So here it allows us to create new physical data models, ER diagrams, and SQL development and run queries as well. So this is what they're going to tell you over there. It's not a database software. It will that it's a bundle with more and more software. Like for example, you can do what modeling over here. Modeling is designing a database layout, data structure, and so on. So that can be done over here using what ER diagrams and SQL development that will be used with type of what queries that we are using. So to create new database using this tool, we need to first launch it, the Microsoft sorry, MySQL Workbench, and log in using the username and password that you want, and it will show the following screen to you, as you can see now at the below. So this is the graphical tool that we are talking about, and this tool is something that will help you to do what create a graphical database. So as you can see, all the database are given at the window named as navigator. So in that navigator window you can see the schemas, and over there you at the bottom you will see the database name. So what are the database names are created? You will be accessed using this navigator window. And suppose if you want to write down the command, so in the middle you can see the query one tab. In that query one tab you will be typing down the commands over there. So you can type in the commands in the query one tab over there. And when you want to run and execute, so there will be one option over here that will give you the execution part. So you can go from the menu as well as you can directly run from here onwards. So this is the graphical tool that we are talking about regarding to the MySQL workbench. So now do the following steps for database creation. As you can see, go to the navigation tab and click on the schema menu. Here we can see all the previous created database. If you want to create a new database, right click on the schema menu and select create schema, or click the create database icon red rectangle as shown in the following screen I'm showing right now. So this is the screen we're talking about over here. This is the part as I told you that is in the schema part, and the schema you need to write down, right click over there. As you can see when you right click, so you find the option is create schema. So from here onwards you can do what, create a database, or else you have a shortcut icon on your toolbar tool menu. So that is this one icon, this cylindrical shape with this plus symbol. So when you click on this, what will happen? A database wizard will be shown to you where you will provide the database name and so on. So this is how we will do what, create the database using the graphical tools. This is the graphical tool that will be helping you to assist you to create the database in MySQL. So this is the software that is named as MySQL Workbench. Okay. So after that, what is the next step? A schema window will open. As I told you, a wizard type of window will pop up, and what it will ask you, enter the new database name. For the example over here, they are typing down employee DB as been shown to you as in the red box. So this is the name of the database that you need to provide over here. And as you see in the bottom, character sets and coalition both are there as an option one. So default is selected over here. Default means the operating system will create at default. So whenever the user is going to create a database, so at that time character sets will be created by the operating system. Okay. So here what we are doing over here, we are providing a database, and when you just try to click it, then the database will be created over here, as you can see over here right now. So this is the apply option that you need to click, and afterwards the pop-up window will be appeared as this one. So here you will also see the command that will be shown, create schema and then the database name. So instead of using that word create database, what we are using the word create schema. So in short, schema and database both are same. Okay, but in schema more options are available as compared to the database. So some of the things that we can define from the schema point of view are possible, but from the database point of view it's not possible. So in short, schema is a bigger picture and database is a small component of that schema we can talk about. But in short, both are same. Both are designed for what purpose? To store the records only. Okay, so you will see the online DDL. DDL stands for Database Definition Language. So this is a part defined in our DBMS, Relational Database Management System, where we are creating the database over here. So creation part is related to DDL. Okay, Data Definition Language, that is provided by this SQL. Okay, so here you need to click on the apply button and then you will be able to create the database over here. And simply what you need to do, a new pop-up window will appear and click on the finish button to complete the database creation. So like this one is the window that you can see, and here you need to simply do what? Click on the finish button. So what will happen? The execute statement will run and then your database will be ready for you, that is created for you. So after successful database creation, what we can see now that the database in the schema menu is created. If you don't see it, don't worry about it. Just you need to refresh the icon. Sometimes the database is being updated. So after updation, it will be displayed to you. So what do you need to do? You just need to refresh the screen, and then you will see the database in the schema section. So we can see more information about the database by selecting the database and click on the icon. So the information window displays several options like tables, triggers, indexes, users, and many more. That means these are all the options that you can create over there as a schema. We are talking about the database. So this is some of the things that we will see into here. So when you select the database, the I option will be there as highlighted over here. When you click on that I option, information option, that will be shown in the main window in the center one dialog. So here you can see information from the information point of view, and then tables, and then columns, and indexes, figures, views, stored procedure functions, branch, and so on. So all the informations are being available over here. As I told you, from the schema point of view, you will get all these information. So this is the schema that we are trying over here. So from the database point of view, we will be having what like tables, columns, indexes. We have some specific things. But right now, from the schema point of view, you will have more broader options over here provided. So instead of using the word database, we will be using what schemas. तो यहाँ पे हम लोग स्टोर करने के लिए डेटा इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए हमें यहाँ पे क्या वर्ड यूज करेंगे schemas instead of using the word database over here. Okay. So basically speaking, MySQL Workbench does not provide an option to rename the database name. So but we can create, update, and delete the data that is table and the data rows from the database. So basically speaking, renaming the database is not optional in Workbench. So that if you have to create a database, you won't be able to rename it. So for that we need to go for the commands. That is console. So from the command, it's very powerful. You can execute those commands which are not available in the workbench. You can do it from the console. Okay. So basically speaking, we more emphasize on the commands rather than the workbench. So most of the commands that we will see, because from the exam point of view, the commands are more important as compared to the workbench point of view. So now the next one that you can see is the MySQL create table. So after the database has been successfully created, the next thing we will be doing is what? Creating the table. So for creating the table, a table is used to organize the data in the form of rows and columns, and used for both storing and displaying the records in the structured format. So basically speaking, the information is now going to be stored in the table. So what are the information there from the user perspective point of view? That information is going to be kept in this create table. So here the table will be there. This is the main thing which will be used for storing the information. So table creation commands, we have three things. The name of the table is required for creating the table, name of the fields are required, and the definition for each field. Okay, so you can create a table again by both the ways, command line as well as workbench, but we will more emphasize on the command line. So here, based on the command line, what is the command that you can see? MySQL allows you to create a table in the database using the create table command. This is the command that you need to follow, create table. This is the option one, if not exists, table name, and then we will provide the column name with the definition. And last one, we can also define what constraints if we want to set it and some restrictions on the table, something that the user cannot be able to do. We need to check on the table so we can do the things as table constraints. So we will see it in detail also. And last one, round bracket close and the semicolon. So that means after the table name, round bracket open, and at the end, round bracket close with the semicolon. So this is the syntax we need to follow over here. Okay, as you can see in the example. So constraints over here can be, as I told you, the restrictions that we are going to apply, like primary key, unique key, foreign key, check, and so on. So there are multiple constraints available in the database. So whatever you require or whatever you like, you can apply the constraints to your database. So as you can see in this example, as I was telling you, let us understand how to create a table in the database with the help of an example. Open the MySQL console and write down the password if we have set during the installation. Now open the database in which we want to create a table. So here we are going to create the table name as employee table. In the database employee we using the following statement. So first you need to create the database. After successfully creating the database, what you will be doing, use the database, and afterwards what we will be doing, create table. So what is the command that we will do over here? Create table, table name, round bracket open, and this is open, and then ID. So ID is the column name. Here the type of that data will be integer. That means when we are going to store the data will have specific type, either characters or other numeric values, okay, other date time value. So this is some of the things that we are defining over here. So integer is the one that defined as numeric value, and we have defined a constraint over here. Constraint is not null. That is ID should not be empty. And one more constraint we are applying over here as a auto increment. That means if we have set first value as 1, then the second value will be 2, and so on. So this is the function that we are using over here. This function we are going to see afterwards as well as, but here we will be using this one, that is auto increment is the keyword, and this keyword will help us to add the value automatically so that we don't have to enter it every time. So name is the second column block. So a comma is given. After the comma, you will find that name. So name is the second column name, and its type is varchar. Varchar means we can input text values, character values. So we use a data type as varchar, and the limit of the characters we define as 45. 45 characters can be given for the name, and which is again not null. Not null means it should not be empty. Then next column known as occupation, and for the occupation we are defining the column name and the data type is given as varchar. So again occupation can be typed in character formats, and that can be of 35 characters. How much characters? 35. Again, which is not null. Age, again an integer, not varchar. So why? It's a numerical value. So when we are talking about numerical value, we will define int. So we'll see it in detail also. But for right now, age, int, not null, and then comma, last one is the constraint we are applying, that is called as a primary key ID, that is unique. So here the uniqueness is done on the ID. So other columns will might have the duplicate values, like the name can be duplicated, occupations can be duplicated, age can be duplicated, but ID cannot be duplicated. This is the constraint that we are applying over here on the table using this one command. And then parenthesis is closed and the semicolon. So this is the example that we are seeing over here from the create table point of view. Okay. So definitely next time we will be using this command to create the tables. So that is the same way we have created the database. Now we will be doing what? Creating the tables. So for that we will be using this set of instructions, and based on that we will be able to create the tables. Okay. So in this example we have seen that column names, then type of the columns, then we have provide constraints over here, that is the restrictions, and then we have some given functions over there as well as with respect to the check constraints, that is the primary key, uniqueness over there. So this is what a table will look like when using a create table command. Okay, so I hope so this is clear to everyone. So in the next lecture we will be using this create table command to continue from here onwards. Thank you very much. If you are having any doubts, so please refer, don't try to hesitate to write down the comments and just try to comment me and I will try to resolve it as early as possible. Thank you once again and thank you very much. Have a great day to all.